Ilu, Thailand from the Philippines. Good noon, everyone. What is the winning strategy of Thailand as the land of smiling beauty as it enters the new normal? To help us in our discussion, the International Development and Security Cooperation is delighted to have with us innovator and talented Matas Danielevicius, who graduated from Vilnius University in Lithuania in Europe, but now based in Bangkok as co-founder and producer of various startups businesses. How are you, Matas?
Hey, thanks for the nice introduction. Doing pretty good, yes. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, great. Now let's begin with our discussion. I've seen your prolific resume as a businessman and actor. Can you tell us what do you do in Thailand as co-founder and producer of Gaurai, co-founder and producer of Whatnot? You're also an actor.
Sure. So,
And currently working at KX Storage Exchange. Can you tell us something about that?
yes. So, as you've mentioned, my background is quite diverse, and yes, I was studying business back home in Lithuania, but I also graduated acting in UK. And my career, I was trying to develop these two paths and try to find the ways how to combine it in many different projects. And almost 6 years ago, it happened that I ended up in Thailand, and my journey began working here in Thailand's startup ecosystem. So I started to build a food and beverage startup accelerator here with my friends from UK, because we had accelerator back in London, and I was responsible for expansion in Thailand. So that's where I start network and build my background here in Thailand with various ecosystems, corporate startups, SMEs, science parks, and universities. And eventually we got quite a lot of demand from local corporates to talk more about product building, about the ways how we manage to build strategies for F&B, FMCG products. And we refocused more into actually becoming from acceleration incubation program into venture builder. So we work with local corporates and we build startups for them as a service.
Right.
This is what Whatnot Innovation Studio does. And we collaborate closely with Knowledge Exchange, where I am a marketing advisor. And Knowledge Exchange is an innovation center here based in Bangkok. And it's part of KMUTT Technology University, King Mungo University of Technology. So the whole ecosystem of KX, we have around 20,000 square meters facilities with maker spaces, labs, and a lot of different specific facilities, event space, co-working spaces, office spaces. So this whole community, it's full of startups, satellite offices of different universities from Asia, government offices, and we help to manage this whole community and focus it into becoming a shared service and venture building ecosystem. So it's a kind of one place to go in order to start your business or look for talent or any type of solution in order to create any venture. So just here, I would like to promote it a little bit that, if there are any entrepreneurs in Philippines or companies who are interested into starting operations in Thailand or finding any partnerships, Knowledge Exchange is a great place to come. We also help to set up companies and get visas in the place so that entrepreneurs could focus on what they need to focus in building ventures. So we help to cater all the rest.
Right. Wow, that's interesting. You have wide gamut of businesses and startups in Bangkok. Now, let's try to talk about a little bit the coronavirus in Thailand. There was an alarming article from the Diplomat about the coronavirus suicides in Thailand. One case was cited when a Thai woman swallowed rat poison in front of the finance ministry to protest the lack of financial aid and felt that nobody cared about her, even if Thai government has the No One Left Behind program in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you share with us your first-hand observations and knowledge on how the Thai government has responded in halting the epidemic in Thailand and how their people beat the disease now that Thailand has successfully flattened the medical curve and confronting the new normal.
Well, so it is a very broad topic, and being an expat in Thailand, I could say
Right.
that we still expats live in some sort of bubble. So a lot of information or things that we know might reflect the real situation, in different communities and different cities and different places.
Right.
And of course, these cases of suicides or of young girl or the woman who swallowed rat poison
Right.
is very alarming, and it's shocking. And in the situation like this, it doesn't add any kind of hope, but being here and observing from aside, I could also emphasize that in general, the whole feeling and the community feeling is very supportive. I was quite not like surprised, but I was proud being here and seeing how people are trying to help each other.
Right.
So in different communities, in many different levels, people, well, we had a lockdown, so people could not move that easily. And
how long is the lockdown in Thailand, in Bangkok in particular?
So I think certain measures started something around mid of March, and then April we had more serious lockdown through May, and now it's easing up. So the curfew hours are shortened, I think now from 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. And certain traveling is restricted still. Like international flights are still restricted, but domestic flights are opening up. So people can start moving, and I think I will relate that to your maybe next questions about tourism and things like that.
Yeah, I think that goes to my next question about the bubble, no?
Just to come back to the situation, and the community sense. So, I think globally looking, this whole situation showed that many governments are not actually ready or capable to do anything, and each country took quite the individualistic approach of fighting this crisis. So in Thailand, I felt quite safe, like the measures maybe were strict in some people's point of view, like ban of alcohol, curfew in the nighttime, very limited public access, no intercity traveling. But I felt quite safe because of that, and all the security and safety measures, like sanitizing liquids everywhere, checking. These are, a lot of people argue that these are not very effective ways of fighting the virus itself, but I think it's very good awareness campaign.
What about the medical system in Thailand? How did they respond to the heavy demand from patients?
I didn't hear any particular issues because, well, actually, Thai medical system is quite well developed. There are a lot of private facilities, available, and I didn't hear big issues of people coming in and overflooding the facilities. But on the other hand, the numbers that we got of the cases were not that high as well, comparing to the population, and comparing to UK or Italy or other large countries which had, much larger cases and way more deaths. So in a sense, it went pretty easy being here. I could say, I cannot say it's not easy. Of course, it's a big problem, but people were focused and people were supportive and helping each other. Government took certain measures and they did what they did, but I think the strongest part of fighting COVID was just the big community feeling, and each ecosystem, from scientists to entrepreneurs, to innovators, to community leaders, everyone were adding something to fight this crisis. Someone was providing food, someone was printing face masks for doctors, someone was trying to find new solutions or providing med tech support for booking queues in the hospitals and stuff like that, that people would not crowd into the places.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, let's talk about the tourism bubble that is happening in ASEAN. And of course, Thailand, as we all know, is one of the favorite tourist destinations for foreign travelers. And certainly it is affected by the pandemic and global recession now. Pessimists are saying that while the travel industry is reeling from the COVID pandemic, facing bankruptcies and consolidations, of course, you know that coming from the business sector. On the other hand, optimists are saying that the travel tourism industries will pick up by 2030, and 10 years from now, drawing cheap airfares, affordable hotel rooms, and futurologists see double increase by 2040, and with the infancy of super fast streets and space destinations and so on. Given your experience in all of these sorts, how do you project the future of travel and tourism industries in the region and the world?
Well, particularly I don't have that much experience in tourism industry, but I think that of course, it is a very complicated question, and I see a lot of issues, especially with well, also all sorts of hotels. 5-star hotels are losing, and they have to let people go. Small hotels and households, which are very popular in Thailand, like homestay, small resorts, are all suffering. No one is capable to sustain their employees, So I think, well, whole HoReCa industry is gonna be affected, and it's not an easy way go out. So I think the ones who will survive gonna be the ones who find new ways to attract and innovate, add value to their services, create new types of attractions, new types of food, something new to overcome, So it's not that it's very easy to predict, but also this crisis, I think, will change the way we travel forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
I think more domestic traveling is going to be encouraged. So people will tend to travel in their own countries rather than going abroad, at least for this transition period, and we are not sure if the second wave of virus is going to come back or not. So I think people will be encouraged to travel locally more, and that might help local and very small scale businesses a lot, because then they will be able to get the tourists coming from just nearby cities. So maybe it's easier for them to come back for the second time as well, But I think a whole tourism industry will have to rely on technology more, on new ways of social media, new ways of predicting routes, catering individual needs of each person. For example, related to food and beverage, we have one very interesting startup here in Knowledge Exchange. It's called Eat Lab, and the scientists created an algorithm that can track the movement of a person and tell if a person likes the meal without asking him. It just depends on how fast they eat the food, how quickly, how much do they bite. She implements the software into the CCTV in any type of restaurant, and through the data AI can start predicting what type of food that person would like to eat and what type of food and recipe they can offer, and AI is capable to produce new type of recipes non-existing till now, mixing very random ingredients, and people are buying it, also advising the price that people would buy. So it's very customized and very individualized, and it's like science fiction, but it's here now, and it's actually and it's working. So I think hotels and restaurants will have to rely more on these type of things, on technology and innovate in any way. Is it possible to change and adapt to individual person? So all this customization in food and beverage, it's a trend anyway for already a couple of years. So I think it's going to become more and more, people will be, so from the consumer side, we will be more pampered and we'll get more interesting ideas and solutions.
Right.
But just to add one more thing is that, I think that the other side of entrepreneurs and business owners who will lose their businesses, well, there's another wave of innovation towards education and upskilling.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people
yeah.
will be forced to learn new skills and will be forced to just one second. Sorry, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
will be forced to kind of learn new skills, upskills. A lot of it is going to happen online, so there are a lot of new tools and workshops and trainings available online, and people, even communication like we do right now. In one sense, it's a new normal, it's a new thing. We need to get used to talking online, but it would not happen that fast if not this crisis. So maybe there's going to be new ways of media and even more connecting people all over the world, like we are right now. You are from Philippines, I'm from Bangkok, and if not the crisis, perhaps we would not have a conversation. But I think through the dialogue and conversation, we could find the ways how to connect these markets, how to connect people and the knowledge in the markets. So it's easier to transfer the knowledge if we're going to build new online tools for education and training, so it means if I'm leading a workshop about product building, if it's physical workshop, we can have 20, 30 people. Now, if we will adopt the tools and it would be as entertaining as live but online, people can join from all over the place. So Philippine entrepreneurs can join our workshops in Bangkok and participate and get the same quality of education, like being live. So I think that's also something that we will try to drive that type of innovation.
And I think the pandemic reactivated the fourth industrial revolution. I mean, these things, retooling, reskilling, the human resources and development has been already discussed. And through this pandemic, things opened up tremendously in a very natural way. And
I absolutely agree. Like Industry 4.0 is happening already quite a while, but still it was a bit more of a talk or theater of innovation. People are just talking or showing that they innovate, but there was no.
Not everyone does it, right?
Exactly. But now everyone will be forced to do it. If you won't do it, you are not going to survive, and your place is going to be taken over by someone who does. So of course, first steps are always complicated, but if we're talking about large scale operations, corporates, now they will have to innovate for real. It's not that a small budget and just small teams who have weekly meetings to do design thinking or some sort of agile strategy setups or whatever. It's actually, they will need to build new ventures. They will need to implement new technology. So it means that more collaborations with universities, with researchers, and it's actually deep technology. So I think that's for sure is going to happen. And the ones who start doing it now, the ones they're going to be the leaders of the future.
Right. I totally support your arguments there. Now, during the lockdown in Asia, netizens were binging on streaming shows, and Thailand's BL series made some buzz in social media, be it in Twitter, YouTube, you name it, with virtual reality as the new reality. What made these Thai local productions a big hit in Asia and the world during the pandemic? And what are the new normal practices in media in Thailand, be it in movies, TV series, streaming other productions, given that there are protocols on social and physical distancing and mass gathering?
Yes, sorry, I've lost you for the first part of the question, but and this is part of your question probably, so what's going to happen? So a lot of live streaming, a lot of shows. So I think people will, general public will gonna have to be used to become a TV show hosts. Everyone will have to learn how to host a show. Everyone will have to learn how to talk on camera, and especially live, conversations, which is very challenging for everyone. It's challenging every time you do it, and same.
And you have the home-based productions, right?
Yes, exactly. Everyone will have to create, so it's going to be a lot of micro productions. However, technology, even with the smartphones and software, is capable to produce good quality production. So I think what is needed is the good content. So people will have to be more specialized on what they're talking about. So it's going to be less broad shows, but it's going to be a lot of focused material and content. A lot of experts will come out with, very specific knowledge. So I think that's also related to education. If we're talking about the theater, because I'm also a theater actor and we have a theater here in Bangkok, so we had to cancel and postpone our shows. And even before the lockdowns, we still had shows running in February. We saw a huge decrease in ticket sales because people didn't want to start coming to the closed spaces, with many people in the room. So that is, something that is going to take time to recover. Now, I think actually from today, the new government regulation says that cinemas and theaters can be open, but there has to be 2 or 3 seat gap between the people. So it means ticket sales will not cover productions yet, so theaters and small scale productions gonna have difficulties to survive. On the filming side, there is a restriction of 50 people per set. So crew and actors, could be no more than 50 people. For certain time size productions, this is pretty small teams are allowed. And if that would continue for a longer time, of course, we would see more innovation on that side as well. So that people who are on set will have to take more responsibilities and roles, so they will have to be more well-rounded on what they do, and also that is a space to introduce new type of innovation. So if there's any type of innovation applicable for sets or crew or management or anything like that, that is the time now to implement that. So what we see that, in any industry, we're gonna have less and less people catering each other, and we will rely more and more on the technology side. So robotics, mechanization, automation is something that is really thriving right now. And from agriculture to filmmaking to tourism, I think that future is gonna be coming faster now than we anticipate. The one that we see in Japanese anime.
But I just want to share what happened in the Philippines during the lockdown. Some of the theater groups, they had the live streaming of their past productions for free, and that's only for like 2 days, and then everyone's watching them because we're all at home. So I think it's a very innovative idea coming from the theater groups. Now, let's discuss the last question that I have here. What advice can you give to everyone who would want to venture on creative business development and startup business across functions and geographies for students and corporations, especially in the post-COVID era?
Yes, so depending on the industry, some industries are losing, some industries are actually winning right now.
Right.
But I think first steps is to do reality check personally where you are right now, and if you are being affected and in what way, and if you can start to predict a little bit, what is the nearest future for your business or your project, and start evaluating and then creating a path of how to navigate out of the crisis. So of course, talking to experts, education, and other things might help. But I think it's also a good time, if it's only a gap of a few months and you are capable to sustain through that few month gap, as a business, it's good time to review your strategy, especially what is lacking in Southeast Asia still is understanding the value of a brand and marketing. A lot of businesses, if we're talking about food and beverage industry, they are interested into investing into facilities, into building factories, and they have the still very old school mindset of property they want to gain from their first investment. While Western startups in food and beverage of FMCG industry, they understand value of brands, so they put investments into marketing and building brands. So added value products, what you can actually squeeze, what you can make your products better. So I think this is the very good time for even street food vendors to change, to upgrade themselves. It doesn't cost that much to do some facelift for your food truck or for your packaged goods. So I think it's a time right now to step forward, you know, to create something better, to add value. Don't be lazy and just to innovate, you know, or evaluate. Maybe it's time to change the path. It's, if you're sitting at home, maybe you could spend that time learning new skill, coding, for example, which, you know, is in a high demand and will be even in a higher demand. So, or content creation, which is also now gonna grow and grow, you know. So if there's any specific knowledge or skill set that you have and you could teach and train people to do or use, you know, for other things. And it doesn't have necessary to be that complicated, you know, DIY videos or, you know, cooking videos. As you said, people are staying at home now more and more. They need to learn, they need to, you know,
remote working, right?
yes, even high school education, children education. You know, kids are still at home and school is going to open still in 1 month here in Bangkok. But through this time, kids are learning that a lot of things could be done online. So that content is actually very outdated if you look, you know, and there's so much gap for translations, for adapting for certain communities, for certain countries, you know, to creating a new type of training materials. Micro-learning, we see the trend of micro-learning materials, videos that you could watch minute or two and learn a new simple skill, how to draw a cat, you know, how to cook an omelet. It doesn't take forever. You watch it 2 minutes, you know how to do it, you practice a few times and it's there. So this type of upskilling, you know, it's a huge space, I think, and people could build their personal profiles or even set up teams and become like a mini studios, you know, to produce.
Right. Wow, amazing. That is, those are wonderful points. How would I say it? Kabutka Matas?
Yes, kapon krap, even though I'm not the best person to teach Thai, but this word I know. So it's kapon krap, it means thank you. And
Yeah. Thank you
Savadi
very much.
krap is, you know, thank you.
Say it here in Manila, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your business strategies with us as we all go through this pandemic.
Sure, thank you for having me, and I hope we can have another conversation pretty soon.
Right.